嗨，大家好，好久不见喽，有整整一周了。大家有没有听出来刚才我们放的是什么歌曲呀？来举举手，我看见评论里面已经有人猜出了他正确的名字了。Brian.
Pop music.
Can you speak louder?
You can speak louder.
Pop music.
Yeah. The music 是什么呀？这个音乐
Pop music.
Video game OST, but same thing. Like what's it called? Not what type. Yeah.
这个是超级 popular 的一个 video game.
Well, not too popular.
超级 popular. Brian 又是你，凯莱，你说吧。我来帮你。
Super Mario.
Yeah, but Super Mario what?
Super Mario Odyssey. 忍不住说出来了。还有其他小朋友玩过这个系列的没有？特别好玩，所以说我想所有人都应该猜出来我们今天要讲的主题了。
It is 7 now, and we are going to officially start today's class.
OK， 那我们现在正式开始了。刚才大家都已经猜到了，这首曲子就是 Super Mario Odyssey 的 OST， 然后非常的有名，非常的好听。那我们的主题是什么？大家肯定也明白了，就是奥德修斯的冒险。翻译成英文就是 Odyssey。 我们今天已经准备了非常久的一个重头戏。当特洛伊战争结束之后，希腊的英雄大获全胜，他们都有着他们自己不同的一些经历吧。但是奥德修斯他的这个回家的历程可以算是他们当中最为曲折，而且故事性也最强的。那这就是我们今天的主题。奥德赛，让我们有请我们的主讲北坤。那我是他的助手，我是安娜。
Okay, so today is our sixth class, and today last time we finished up on the Iliad and the Trojan War. So today we will be starting on Troy Story 2, or the Odyssey. Now, what do you guys remember from last time? We sort of did talk about some of what happened last time. So do you guys still remember? You can raise your hand to talk.
我们上节课大家还记得我们都讲了些什么吗？如果你还记得的话，记得任何的东西都可以举手回答一下。
We also talked about what happened to some of the heroes last time, if you guys remembered. Okay, if nobody remembered, then we can just move on. Okay, then nobody. Oh, right. So the Odyssey is a sequel of the Iliad, also written by Homer. Well, obviously. So Homer was probably feeling bored after writing the famous Iliad. So he decided to write about how the gods made Odysseus' life increasingly difficult. He managed to, the Trojan War lasted for 10 years. And the Odyssey, or Odysseus' trip home, lasted 10 years as well. So when he left to Troy, his son was only a baby. And when he came back, his son was already a grown man. This is a big difference, and it was probably very shocking what puberty can do. So most of the people, they always think of Super Mario before they actually think of the original Odyssey. And you should know that we are not going to talk about Mario because I've already beaten it. I've already beaten Super Mario Odyssey. You can ask me later. So Super Mario it's very similar to the original Odyssey. It's about a person getting swept like a long way back, and then they're going back to the original place to fight off some people and rescue a damsel in distress, something like that. But of course, if you want to know the original one, the one without magic and Goombas and Bowser, then you came to the right place, because the Greek epic is what we are going to talk about today. The Greek epic, it's as like the Iliad, it's also very long. About they still call it books, not chapters, and they are a bit longer than chapters. But Homer has a very special way of writing things. He writes it from a weird perspective. For example, the Iliad is about the Trojan War, but it was only the last few months of the Trojan War, and it seemed to have been written in like a storytelling mode. So it's saying that it's in first person, not third person. It's asking the muses, the storytellers of Greek mythology, to tell the story. In the Odyssey, it's the muses again, but in here, Odysseus tells his own story on the sea when he gets rescued. So the first half is Odysseus's flashbacks, and the second half is actually happening. So, like, what led to the Odyssey? First of all, as you guys may remember about the wooden horse. The wooden horse was sort of a trap deployed by Odysseus to trick the Trojans. And after Troy fell, they went and raided a few nearby cities. However, they were blown off course after they left, and they went through many dangerous things. For example, monsters and betrayals. At last, they arrived at Ithaca, their homeland, but they found that the palace was overrun by suitors who thought that Odysseus was dead, and they all wanted to marry his wife, Penelope. By the way, Odysseus' whole crew dies. So these are the characters that are only somewhat important before Odysseus returns to Ithaca. And of course, some of them die, and most of them are monsters or goddesses. And because the Odyssey is very long, we are going to split it into two classes, like the Iliad. The first class, which is what we're doing right now, is about what Odysseus did when he was lost on sea. For example, sneak peek, Charybdis and Scythera, which we talked about a bit during the Beast class. So next time we will be talking about what Odysseus did once he got back to Ithaca and the troubles he faced back at home. So for these important characters, first of all, we have the main character, obviously. Like if a main character is important, then it's not a story. Odysseus is the main character because the name Odysseus' story, it literally goes to an Odyssey, and it also translates to Troy's story too. Next is Athena. Athena has always favored Odysseus because he was wise, and she later even helped him a lot by helping him clear the suitors of his palace. So this is the god that helps Odysseus the most. Nextly is Poseidon, the exact opposite, the one that hates Odysseus the most. Athena and Poseidon were rivals from the start. And they were, for example, when they fought over a city, which is now Athens, Athena led the whole city to mock Poseidon. Well, not really, but that would get cursed because Athena is Poseidon's niece. And
没错，雅典娜和波塞冬他们两个在争夺雅典城的时候，然后就起了很大的冲突。然后在这个故事里边呢，雅典娜不仅帮助了奥德赛，还帮助了奥德赛的儿子，不仅帮助了奥德修斯，还帮助了奥德修斯的儿子，还帮助了奥德修斯的父亲，还帮助了奥德修斯的太太。所以说他是奥德修斯的头号那个忠诚支持者，波塞冬呢就是彻底的把他，奥德修斯把波塞冬得罪了个彻底，然后波塞冬呢对他也非常的不客气。
Poseidon cursed him, cursed his wife, cursed his son, cursed his father, and such.
对
The exact opposite. So I guess that's why Odysseus lived a happy life later, because the curse and the blessing kind of clears out. Nextly is Polyphemus. Polyphemus is a cyclops, but not to be confused with the original ones. The original ones are much better and nicer. The original ones are the sons of Gaia and Uranus, and they are much bigger than these. Polyphemus is a son of Poseidon, and he is a mere imitation of the original Cyclops because, well, many things can have one eye. And so Polyphemus was like the reason why Odysseus was cursed by Poseidon, because Odysseus blinded him. Nextly is Circe. Circe originally was another antagonist that would trouble Odysseus, but later when Odysseus defeated her, they actually became sort of friends. And after, well, lounging for a whole year, and when Odysseus finally remembered about Ithaca and wanted to go back, Circe supplied him with advice and actually helped him a lot. Next is our another mortal crewmate of Odysseus. His name is Eurylochus. Eurylochus somehow manages to survive every one of these monsters, except he finally dies when the whole crew dies. And Eurylochus is also the one that actually brought Odysseus bad luck, because he was the one who proposed the bad idea to... Actually, you know what? I'm not going to give you guys a sneak peek. You will have to stay to know what he did. Nextly is Tiresias. Tiresias, he's a human. He's a priest, but he's dead. So Circe gives Odysseus advice to visit Tiresias for more advice to go back. And when Odysseus asked where he could find him, Circe was just like, well, he's dead. And so Odysseus literally goes down to Hades and finds Tiresias. Also, he also sees people like Achilles, Agamemnon, Patroclus, and Great Ajax, and more. Nextly, these are the pair that we talked about a bit in the beast lesson, Charybdis and Scytha. These two, they live on opposite sides of what you call a river, I guess, a very large river, something like that. So Charybdis is a giant sucking mouth, and Scytha is a six-headed snake or dragon, whatever you want, because nobody actually knows what her body is like. They've only seen her head and neck. And last but not least is Calypso. Calypso is a goddess who is imprisoned on the island of Ogygia. She is a daughter of Atlas, and she actually was neutral during the Great Titan Anarchy, the original Titan War, which we talked about in the first lesson. So Calypso is actually completely innocent, but Zeus imprisons her because that she was related to Atlas. Ogygia is an island that floats around and never stays in a single place. For example, when Leto, another Titan goddess, and Leto is the mother of Artemis and Apollo, when she became pregnant with the children of Zeus, Hera was angry and cursed her that disaster would follow her wherever she went. And so she finally escaped to Ogygia, and disaster could not follow a floating island. So she gave birth to Artemis and Apollo on that island, and later they left. So there was also a curse, which we will talk about later. And it's actually a very, very cruel curse. I don't know why Zeus has to do this. He honestly seems like he's almost like an antagonist now. So this is like the summary of the Odyssey, and it has every one of the events, every monster that they have faced. So first of all, it's they're wrapping up the Trojan War, you know, after so many battles, they finally finished the Trojan War, but then they found out that they still had more to do. Next is the land of the Lotus Eaters. And honestly, it's just called a drug shop, okay? It's a drug shop because people who ate the lotuses did not want to leave at all. They would forget about everything. Nextly is where Odysseus' bad luck begins. They go onto the island of the Cyclops, and after blinding their captor, Polyphemus, yes, his name is a bit hard, Polyphemus, Odysseus accidentally got a bit arrogant and taunted him. So that Polyphemus prayed to Poseidon to curse Odysseus. Next is the Lastrygonians. They were giants and they ate humans. And they threw rocks and destroyed Odysseus' whole fleet except for his own ship. Then they they docked. They docked on the land of the winds, which was ruled by the king of the winds, obviously, Aeolus. Aeolus gave Odysseus a bag of wind, which blew them all the way back to Ithaca. But just when they saw Ithaca, his crewmates thought that the bag was full of gold and riches and opened it. So the winds blew him the opposite way, all the way back. And Aeolus was like, if your crewmates did that, then you must be cursed. So get off of my island. I don't want you bring the curse here. So Odysseus, now very, very grumpy, goes to another island. By now they already knew how to avoid dangerous people. So they split the crew in half to explore. On this island, they met Circe, who turned Odysseus' men into pigs, and Eurylochus was the only one that didn't eat the food that would turn them into pigs. So then he told Odysseus, and Odysseus defeated Circe with a little help of Hermes, and they stayed here for a whole year before Odysseus finally remembers about Ithaca. So he decides to head back. Circe gives him some advice. He goes to Hades, like we said before, to seek Tiresias, and they set off. So next, they near the land of the Sirens, who would sing so beautifully that sailors would jump off and swim to their deaths. However, he had a solution. Everybody would just plug their ears in with beeswax so that they couldn't hear. Next, the most devastating one is Charybdis and Scythera. They went the Scythera path because Odysseus thought that if they would just sacrifice 6 crewmates, then Scythera's mouths would be full so that they could go past without losing any more. Instead of going through Charybdis, they would possibly lose the whole ship. However, he was later blown back and did lose the whole ship. Nextly is the land of Helios' cattle, which is the part where his crew all die. They were stranded here for a whole month before they died, and then Odysseus was blown back to Charybdis, and then Charybdis then spat Odysseus all the way to Ogygia, to Calypso's island. After a whole 7 years, Calypso finally manages to set Odysseus free, and Odysseus goes to a friendly kingdom, who then gives him a ship and a bunch of treasures, because why not, and sends him back to Ithaca. So this is like the first half, and this is like a summary, and the whole process took a whole 10 years. So it's not like something that you can handle. So this is what should have happened if his crewmates weren't stupid.
对，这是爱琴海，然后沿着
So he went
爱欧尼亚海，然后沿着走就能到伊萨卡。但是
yeah, but this is what happened because of all the wind. So he's still in the middle, and yeah, that's why you don't get cursed by the gods.
对，照理说他们很快，说一个小小的小知识，就是波西战争的时候，大概然后就是从这边走，然后走到我看看啊，应该是走到这儿，然后从这儿，然后再开始进来。但是你看那个时候就很近，就是大概就是半个来月1个来月的时间吧，但是可怜的。
So in total, if they would go on land, then it will only take like 2 or 3 months, and if you would have to go on sea, it would only take about half a year. But this would take 10 years or more. Okay, so the thing is, Odysseus seriously has luck problems, not skill issue. Okay, luck issue. his lucky issue is that how do we start? First of all, his crew doesn't listen to him. He warned his crew at first. So first for a bit of background knowledge. After the Trojan War, everybody packed up to leave. The school's over. So they went to the nearby town and they raided it, except reinforcements came. And when Odysseus told them to just leave already, but they still wanted some more plunder, the reinforcements arrived and kind of killed most of them. Odysseus left with the remaining fleet, but was blown off course by Zeus because Zeus loves messing around with mortals. So they were blown around, and his crew, when they landed on the land of the Helios's cattle, he warned his crew not to eat them no matter what because they will die. And this is what they thought. So they thought if they sacrificed the Helios's own cow to himself, and then they would eat it and they would get killed. And then if they promised to build a giant temple back at Ithaca, they would be let off. But the thing is, Helios never wanted to give them the meat and did not want to give them the cattle. If you gave your friend their own wallet for reparation, which means a payment for damage caused, then it's called being crazy. So the thing is, apparently nobody has logic here, and what they could have made it back within at least 2 or 3 years if Odysseus actually told them what was inside the wind bag. For example, we could have told them that you can open it once we're back home or something like that. And all that would cause is a tornado. Wait, actually, on second thought, tornado is much worse. But the thing is, if he just said clearly, then none of this would be happening. But yeah, he's still very unlucky. So we will begin with our giant and very, very long journey. We will start with the lotus eaters, so these people are just flower drug addicts, and so once you try the lotus flowers, you will forever get addicted to this drug unless they do rehab. So
所以说这是一个吸毒者聚集地，是吧？可能那个地方就是所有人都在嗑药，然后他拉着奥德修斯和他的朋友们一起嗑药，就是这样。
So Odysseus had to drag his own men all the way back to their ships and that made their rehab complete. So this isn't a very important part, but it's still something that Homer added. Although I guess because they didn't lose anybody, but it didn't have much story, so I actually do not know why this was added. So now next, we go to the Cyclops' island.
这是他的旅程当中最恐怖的故事之一。
They should make a horror movie about this.
So
first of all, Polyphemus is a Cyclops. So at first, when they arrived at the island, it actually looked very nice. There was a bunch of sheep. There were a cave, and then there were cheese inside of the cave. So Odysseus' men wanted to take some sheep and some cheese and escape. However, Odysseus, this time it was actually his fault. Odysseus wanted to see who the owner of the cave was. So he wasn't happy when he found out who it was. It was a Cyclops. So just imagine when you see a giant man with one eye, and it was eating something that was still dripping blood, and then it puts a boulder on the entrance and exit of the cave to stop you from leaving. Yeah, that was their door. Their door was a giant boulder that only a Cyclops could move. So once they were trapped, Polyphemus, the Cyclops noticed them, and they tried to negotiate. However, Polyphemus straight up ate 2 of Odysseus's men for dinner. Then he slept. Now, we can have a small discussion time. If you guys were Odysseus, what would you do to escape? Jasper, is that a question or is it a response?
Jasper. Coconut Jasper. Hello?
Wait, what?
Your hand is raised.
Oh, that was from before.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Brian, then.
I will make a summoning ritual of Hades.
You don't have paint. Mwahaha. You don't have paint. Try again. Okay. Poseidon without the profile picture. This is a bit confusing.
What I would do is I just get out of there. Well, Odysseus will I'll just go like in the picture shown below. I just get a big torch and then go like.
How do you get a big torch?
That's in the picture shown anyway.
Yeah.
So.
But you aren't supposed to base it off of the picture. You're supposed to.
Oh yeah. Okay.
No, why?
So what I would do is call by Polyphemus' ear and go like, "Hey, you want to go, eh?" And then I just.
Polyphemus. If you have watched Attack on Titan, Polyphemus is even bigger than Polyphemus is at least 20 to 30 meters tall. Do you think you can defeat him? And Odysseus only has around 6 to 8 people, and 2 has already been eaten. So.
Well,
而且这个家伙脾气可不太好。
Yeah, and
I could just like yell in his air, and then he charges at me. I dodge, and then he smashes his head open. Like also smashing that wall. I'm like, haha, and then run away.
Yeah, that's called video game logic. But the thing is, when the door isn't open, only Polyphemus can open the door. Mm-hmm.
So he charges at me. Yeah, I dodge, and then he goes like smack. His head cracks open, and the door cracks open.
The door is
done.
Okay, next Poseidon with the profile picture. Oh, by the way, did you know that Polyphemus is Poseidon's son?
Yeah.
Okay.
If it was me, I'd just command him to open the door, but
wait.
你让他说完。
In this
让我
situation,
们伟大的波塞冬把这个话说完，你怎么 calm down？
I would just flood the whole place, kill him and drown him, and then I would get Hades to control his spirit and open the door, and then I'll be like, yay.
okay, so first of all, spirits can't touch mortal things. Yeah. And second of all, we're trying to pretend that you're not Poseidon, you're Odysseus here.
Then if I was Odysseus, I would let my crew to distract them, and I would just climb up his pants and then poke his butt.
What? But then your crew would all be eaten, and then he won't. Okay.
And then I would climb up to his head and crawl into his ear, go into his brain, cut off some wires. The end.
Okay, very nice way. Richard.
Basically, I would just make him go over there. No, I would just throw a man at him, so he will be. The man will grab his attention, and then I will kill that Polyphemus while he is sleeping.
So you will kill him using what way? Swords?
No, I will also blind him, but I'll throw a man at him to grab his attention.
But isn't that a bit cruel?
I don't really care about Polyphemus.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and I have another statement.
Sure.
Can't close the chat. The chat is a mess.
Yeah. Okay. I'll try.
I have another thing to say. Another way I would do it is I get some ketchup. Like he likes Polyphemus likes blood, right? Get some ketchup. I'm like, here it is, and then and he's like ketchup. I mean he's like blood, and then I'm like, you gotta first open it for me, and then I give you the blood. And he opened it. Me and my crew run, and I just throw it behind. I'm like, it's ketchup, and then I get on my boat and then drive off before he catches up. And then even if he jumps on my boat, he's just gonna fall into the water and then maybe sink.
You know what? You should be Hermes. Hermes is the god of trickery, just like you.
非常有意思。但是我们看一看，奥德修斯他们是怎么做的。
Yeah, so Odysseus, he isn't favored by Athena for nothing. He is very wise. So first of all, he spends the whole day sharpening a log into a giant pencil, I guess. So then Polyphemus eats two of his men for breakfast. And then opens the boulder to take the sheep out to, eat grass. And then he closes the door. So then after a whole day of sharpening, Polyphemus comes back, eats two more of his men, and then Odysseus offers him the strongest wine they have to get him into deep sleep. So Odysseus then lights the giant pencil makes it into a torch and plunges it into his eye. Polyphemus's eye, not Odysseus's eye. Polyphemus is then blinded, but Polyphemus will tell all the other neighboring Cyclops. So how would Odysseus deal with this? Odysseus already thought of it, because when he gave Polyphemus the wine, Polyphemus asked for his name. Odysseus told him his name was Nobody. And by this, when Polyphemus yelled, "Help, nobody is killing me," everybody else was like, "Are you a joke?"
居然没有人，你嚷嚷这么大声干什么？然后他们就走，他的朋友们就走开了，没有人救他。
Nobody's killing me. And then
Wait.
Yeah, right. And nobody's stealing your sheep.
Wait, can anyone see it? See those little tiny stuff? And he's like, nobody's killing me, but they should see someone. But I can know that.
The door is closed, so yeah. So it's like when he yells, the neighboring people, they are actually respectful, and they won't go in without consent. So yeah.
对，两个，一个是他的朋友们没有那么聪明，第二个是他的门是关上的。那好，接下来继续呢，然后呢
Then Polyphemus, he swore that when he opens the door, he will touch every living thing that passes through the doorway, so that he will know if anybody will escape. However, Odysseus already thought of this, so he saw the giant sheep. He had each of his surviving men clutch onto the bottom of the sheep, and because the sheep had too much wool, nobody had cut it, so they weren't felt. So Odysseus saved the fattest and the one with most wool for himself. So then they escaped. They took the sheep onto their ship and took a bunch of other things, and they left. But there is something that has cursed this island. This island, once you escape, there's like some sort of curse that happens, so that the people who escaped will be tempted to yell out and taunt. So Odysseus is yelled, "Hey, ugly, you didn't get me. My name isn't Nobody, it's Odysseus." And then Polyphemus, because he knew there was a prophecy about a man named Odysseus making him blind, although he always thought that Odysseus was a giant, not a puny trickster. And so he asked Poseidon to curse him. Yeah, and that's where his bad luck begins.
这里头还有一个小故事，就是这个巨人说，哎，早就有人跟我说过，有一个奥德修斯的家伙会来杀掉我，我还以为那是一个跟我一样高大强壮的家伙呢，没想到是一个小虫子。
Yeah, he asked me to curse him while I was eating sea popcorn in the ocean.
Nice.
All right. So next day, after running, they found a giant bay surrounded by high mountains. Inside the bay, there was a nice palace, and Odysseus's whole fleet docked inside the bay, but only Odysseus had instinct to dock outside and wait. So he sent two of his crewmates to see who lived there. At first, they seemed civilized. However, spoiler, nope, not spoiler. Everybody should expect this by now. Yep, they are man-eating giants. So they climb up on the mountains and start to throw rocks down at the ship docked inside the bay. So his whole fleet is destroyed except for his own ships. So then Odysseus leads his own men escape. See, this is actually a very short arc, and it's almost as non-informative as the Lotus Eaters. However, this one tells us how Odysseus' whole fleet died and how only his ship survived. So yeah, this is actually a very informative one, although it's short. So next, after running, they land at the remote island of Aeolus. Aeolus, the king, controls the winds. So he invited Odysseus for a feast and gave him a bag which sealed all the winds except for the west wind, I think, or it was north. Who cares? It was just one wind that would blow them back to Ithaca. But if you were to open the bag, then the winds would blow him all the way back. So he travels a whole 9 days or 10 days, who cares? But a whole 9 days without sleep because he was guarding the bag. And when they finally found Ithaca, he fell asleep because he thought that nothing could go wrong now. Like, what could possibly go wrong? And then his crewmates messed up. His crewmates thought that the bag was full of gold and riches that Odysseus would not share with them. But of course, sharing is caring, so they did have the right to open it. So they opened it and the winds blew them back just when Ithaca was at their fingertips. So this would be very, very frustrating for Odysseus. And then when they went back, Odysseus wanted another bag, but Aeolus is like, you must be a cursed man, cursed by the gods. Get out of my island before I curse you as well. So next, they are very grumpy and they arrive at the island of Circe. Circe is a goddess. Well, not sort of. She is a magician, or that's what we would call her now. But before, she was a witch. She is a daughter of Hecate. Hecate is the goddess of magic. So when they arrived, they already knew how to survive. So they split into 2 teams. One led by Odysseus and one led by Eurylochus, the guy who survives everything. So Eurylochus' team was chosen to explore. So they did so, and when they found Circe's palace, they found a bunch of wild animals that were tamed, for example, lions and tigers. And Circe welcomed them with food. The food, it looked very, very tasty. Very, very tasty, especially when they were just blown for a whole 10 days. And they ate the food. And guess what? They turned into pigs. Because, well, why not? Why not? Why can't a proper antagonist be bad? But
对，这种吃了食物就会变成猪的故事，大家还觉不觉得有一点点耳熟啊？还在哪里看见过或者是听见过？那我看看有没有小朋友举个手。
Okay, Poseidon with the profile picture then. Poseidon with profile picture.
I think it is pretty like I can't get my hand on it, but I can't like.
Then let's move on to
Brian.
Brian.
Argonauts.
Oh, okay, Richard. Oh wait, no, Zhang Yi.
I think there's like a scene like this in
Yeah.
Narnia.
Not Narnia, but you're pretty close. It's something that's like Narnia. Richard.
Actually, is she a witch that turned all his men into? But then somebody gave, I think Athena gave him a secret thing.
Yeah.
So then he put in the tea. Then and then
Don't spoil, but that's almost that's almost what happened on here. But if nobody knows what humans turn into pigs is like, then
我举手。大家还记不记得，在有一部著名的日本动画片叫做《神隐少女》，在中国大陆他们翻译作《千与千寻》，里面也有吃一点东西，然后就会变成猪的。
The English name is Spirited Away, I think. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, my teacher loves that movie. It's where a little girl's mother and father, they eat the food of the gods and then they are turned into pigs.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, at the end, she befriends a giant baby, and 3 identical old ladies.
对，然后在就是1001夜里面，阿拉伯的故事里面也有类似的这种，就是女巫把人变成一些动物啊什么的。Okay.
All right. Yeah, okay. So Eurylochus knew that there was something fishy or piggy. Okay, whatever. That's a bad joke, but Eurylochus knew that something was off. So he did not go in and eat. And when he found what happened to his crew, his team, he went back and reported to Odysseus, who ventured alone. He then met Hermes, who gave him magical herbs. But in the Percy Jackson edition, it was vitamins. Okay, so Odysseus then, Circe did the same thing with him, gave him food. Odysseus drank it all. He's like, tasty, now let me end you. And then he drew out his sword. And then Circe was like, I'm a mage, I have like 2 hit points. And then better turn them back before it becomes a 0. So then Odysseus manages to defeat Circe, and Circe turns his crew back into humans. Then they live on Circe's island for a whole year before they finally remember about Ithaca. So before, I won't talk about Tiresias much because we already said that. So just to recap, Circe gives him advice and tells him to go to Tiresias, where there he also meets his dead mother and a bunch of other dead people.
说到这个是这个故事里头隐含着一个这个女神和奥德修斯的情愫，一点爱情的故事。但是我觉得女神跟凡人的爱情都没有好下场。大家知道，在希腊神话里面还有一个特别有名的女神，她是曙光女神，也叫做黎明女神，叫做俄罗斯，她的英文名字写作 EOS。然后她呢喜欢上了一个人间的王子，那个王子的名字呢叫做提托洛斯，他是特洛伊的王子。说到特洛伊又想起来了吧？我们上一节课特洛伊的王子都是以帅气著名，除了 Paris 还有这个提托诺斯。然后他喜欢上这个王子之后，他就把他带到自己的宫殿去了，然后向宙斯请求说啊，我想永远的跟他在一起，请你赐他永久的生命吧。但是这里头有一个大 bug， 他只求到了永久的生命，但是没有求到永久的青春。然后这个王子呢就逐渐的变老之后，女神就嫌弃他，觉得他老了，然后白发苍苍，然后身上的皮肤啊都起皱了，然后他就不想再看见他了，他就把他关在了那个他神殿的一个小小的卧室里面，就让他在那里自生自灭。后来这个特洛伊王子，然后他就变成了一只蝉，一直不停的在那儿絮絮叨叨诉说他被女神抛弃的痛苦和他永生但是却不能够得到永久青春的这种遗憾和痛苦。所以你看奥德修斯他还是比较明智的，他没有沉迷于女神的这种爱，也没有沉迷于这些好吃好喝的环境，他还是要回家，他比较坚定。这就是他比王子聪明的地方。
He wants to go home.
Yeah, wants to go home.
The man just wants to return, bro.
Okay.
All right. So after Circe gives some advice and he heads on with his life. So next they near the lands of the Sirens. Now I recently learned a bit of actually actual information about the sirens. They were actually singers on Olympus. And then once Zeus held a competition between the muses, the ones that would also sing very well, and the sirens. And then the sirens lost because the muses were the best. And now the gods demanded each of them to give enough feathers to make medals and crowns for the muses. And this is like the winner should be rewarded, but those losers shouldn't be punished. This is a very, very, like the gods are getting eviler by the second. So the thing is, they now escaped down to earth, and instead of using their music to entertain, they use their music to kill. So, but however, Odysseus wanted to hear their music, and he told his crew to tie him onto the ship mast and to bind him tighter if he struggles for help. And so he listens to the music, and then his crew have their ears blocked by beeswax so that they wouldn't hear the music.
Can you like please mute chat? People are spamming.
All right then.
Like Jeffrey.
Mine is 99% messages. Just don't let anyone spam.
Mine's
There's a couple of Jeffreys.
I think I closed the chat. I think I did. Tony?
And originally there was a very annoying Hades.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, good thing. And he used to swear, and I stole his
Especially
cap. That's why I
the F
stole his cap. Me and Athena stole his cap.
Okay, so let's move on because now that thing is taken care of. So anyways, they once they're out of range, they continue. So now it's Charybdis and Scythera. So this is like game of luck. So if they chose Scythera, they would have 6 people eaten, and if they didn't row fast enough, another 6, but they usually were fast enough. On the other hand, if they chose Charybdis, there was like a 70% chance that they would all die, and like a 20% chance that one would survive and the rest of the crew would die, 9% chance that the whole crew would die, and 1% chance that nothing would be left. So yeah. And Odysseus chose Charybdis. Odysseus chose Scythera, but in Percy Jackson, Cressy, and Percy, they chose Charybdis because they thought that they could kill it. Of course, they failed. But if you were Odysseus, which would you choose? You can raise your hand. Poseidon, the one without the profile picture.
What I would do is I would choose the risky one.
The up or the down. The up one is the one with a lot of heads. The down one is the giant sucking whirlpool. Up or down?
I would choose the up one actually.
The same one as Odysseus?
Yes. I would choose that one because if you just get everyone killed and then even if you have one surviving, you still have to go through that way, and then you can't just have one person to beat all those heads. So I'll choose that way. And then even though some people die, but there will still be surviving ones.
Yeah. But the main thing is, what's hard about that? Like, I think
second whirlpool. Well, it's just a whirlpool. If you drive in it, you get sucked into it. Well, that one's better. That one's on a mountainside.
Yeah, but that's great reasoning. The whirlpool sucks in the ocean for 3 hours a day and 3 hours at a time, and then spits it out for a short period of time. So it's like something between a broken washing machine and a normal washing machine.
Or you could just like I don't think this is gonna be quite real, but Odysseus
这个
got
很
it.
难选。
Odysseus get an iPad, animate that monster up on the hill in Minecraft, and then he used TNT and blowed it up.
Yeah, but they don't have.
Yeah.
OK, Vinny，
Oh, wait, sorry, I forgot. I accidentally kept my hand up.
All right.
OK，
Brian.
I choose the one that kills 6 people and set fire to it.
Okay. Well, the thing is, it's very high up. These monsters, you can't kill them. That's why you have to choose. Because if you could kill them, you will obviously kill them. Or wait, can you? Yeah, but you can't. So yeah, I think
不能被 kill 的。
I still think you're
Immortal?
no, they're not immortal, but they're very hard to kill, like the last boss of a video game. Jasper, which one would you choose?
I would choose like Skyla because I call it Skyla because like the many-headed one because like I think even if you cannot kill it, it would be a better chance because you could dodge its attacks, but you cannot dodge the huge whirlpool.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Oh, yeah, like why did people think about that? Richard.
I would choose Skyla because then, like, basically I could just practice like on a video game how to kill monsters, and then I will like use a sword to scare them because they might be scared, but the whirlpool you can't scare them, so obviously.
Yeah, that's good reasoning. Although monsters would scare you.
OK，
Starting with the trident profile picture because okay, this is getting confusing now.
So I would I would choose Charmander. I would first go to the whirlpool, stuff a bunch of wood in its mouth, and make it so full that it doesn't keep sucking. And I just happily drive past and blow a raspberry at it.
Oh, that's actually a very good way, but unless you sacrifice, but look, can you see the picture? The size is giant, and the ship is small, and that's all you have. So I don't think you unless.
Then I would go up to a mountain and chop off some stone one by one. I just throw it in their mouth, or I would just go to Skyla and make a negotiation with her, with him or her, and I'll be like, hey, you want to know something? I put some food in there. I put a lot of my men in there, and my men are hiding. And then I say, hey, go eat that. And then they just run in and get sucked in.
All right. So I won't be able to get to everybody because there is a bunch of opinions. But if you guys want to still say your opinion, you guys can remember what you chose, and then we can return to this after when we have time for Q&A because we seriously don't have enough time.
老师，
Yeah.
我能去上厕所吗？
Of
Yes,
course you
you
can.
can go to the bathroom whenever you want. Just yeah. All right, so then after they escape, they row their boat worriedly down the stream. They arrived at the island of the cattle of Helios. Now Tiresias told them that if you were to pass it without stopping, then you would soon reach Ithaca. But if you stop there, then don't touch them. But if you touch them, well, bad things.
对，大家有没有发现，在希腊神话里面，牛是一种很可怕的动物。你看，在我们中国的传统的这个里面，对牛都是很温顺的，然后是帮助人类的。但是在希腊神话里面，比如说牛头人，对不对？那个迷宫里面的牛头人，还有这里头的这个牛，然后还有 一些英雄在路上他们会遇到的一些怪兽里面也会是有牛，所以牛在古代的时候其实是很危险的。为什么危险呢？我们继续。
Yes, so they were once they landed because everybody was so tired and the island was so lush and green and full of vegetation. So they landed there. The second they got off, the winds stopped. And because they were on a sailboat, they needed wind to go. And so apparently they were stuck on there for a whole month. And Circe's food that she gave them started to run out. So they set their eyes on the cattle of Helios. Dun, 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 dun. And now they decide to sacrifice the cattle, because if you sacrifice something, you just sacrifice the parts that you can't eat, because before so there was this rule that Zeus would pick what to sacrifice, either fat and uneatable stuff or good meat. And Prometheus tricked Zeus into choosing the fat, so that when people pray to the gods, they only need to sacrifice the stuff that they don't want to eat, and they can keep the good stuff to themselves. So their logic was this: I'll sacrifice your own things, and then I'll eat them. I'll eat the good parts, and I'll sacrifice the bad parts, and then you will forgive me because you won't care about us. And apparently that reasoning wasn't very good. So then once they sacrificed the cow of Helios, the winds picked up, and Odysseus wanted to escape. But then a storm brewed up and struck the ship. His crew all died, and then Odysseus tied some of the wood onto what was remaining of the mast, and he was blown all the way back to Charybdis, who then, it was exactly her spinning out time. Odysseus clutched onto a shipwreck until he went to Charybdis, because then it was eaten. So he then jumped and clutched onto a tree, which was right above Charybdis. Well, sort of, and then Charybdis spat out the ocean. Odysseus then clutched onto what was left of his makeshift raft, and then was boosted by the waves that Charybdis made, and was swept all the way to Ogygia, Calypso's island. He stayed there for 7 years because Calypso would not let him leave, because she genuinely loved him. And well, later Hermes, by the will of Zeus, told Calypso to let Odysseus leave. So there's a thing. I said that we will talk about a curse of Calypso, so that every 1,000 years, Zeus would send a hero to this island, and then Calypso will fall in love with that hero. But then that hero will appreciate her, but still doesn't want to stay here. So, for example, Odysseus, he just made a raft and left. But of course, if you're a person who didn't already have love, then you would have stayed here. And no mortal can find Ogygia twice. So Calypso gets heartbroken every 1,000 years, which is really cruel.
是的，像这种飘来飘去的岛啊，在很多的神话里面都有。像中国的神话里面有一些蓬莱岛，像印度的神话里头也有这种漂浮的岛。然后像日本的创世神话里头更是漂浮着，就是那些大岛原来都是各自漂浮的，是后来是由神把它们连接在一起。好，OK， 没什么事。
Okay. All right, so let's watch a small animation, and because we won't finish this because it tells too much of the plot after, so we will only watch like about a few minutes. Tell me if there's any problems with the audio or the video.
On Mount Olympus, the gods were debating whether Odysseus should return home. Eventually, Zeus decides Odysseus should return, so he sends Hermes, the messenger god, to tell Calypso to set Odysseus free, while the goddess Athena goes to Odysseus' son Telemachus to help him find out what happened to his father, because he and his mother's palace is being overrun with suitors after their fortune. Athena, in disguise, convinces him to go to Nestor, who fought with Odysseus in the Trojan War. But he does not know what happened to him. He suggests to go to Menelaus, who knows that Odysseus is stranded with Calypso. Meanwhile, Hermes travels to Calypso's island, and she agrees to let Odysseus go. So he sets sail on a small raft, but it is destroyed during a storm created by Poseidon, the god of the sea. Eventually, he washes up on the shore of the Phaeacians, who welcome him and declare a holiday in his honor. Odysseus proves his strength by throwing a discus farther than anyone else. Then, King Alcinous asks him who he is, so Odysseus starts his story. After leaving Troy, Odysseus and his men attacked a city, but reinforcements arrive and they had to flee. Then they came upon the Lotus Eaters, where many of his men ate a strange plant and lost all desire to go home. But Odysseus dragged them away, only to land on the Cyclopes island, where they were locked in Polyphemus, the Cyclops' cave. But Odysseus blinded him and tricked him into moving the boulder blocking the exit. After sailing more, they came upon the Keeper of the Winds, who gave Odysseus a bag of wind to blow them back to Ithaca. But his men opened it, and it blew them the wrong way, where they landed on the giant Laestrygonians, who threw boulders at Odysseus' ship, killing many of his men. They escaped, and came to the witch Circe, who turned Odysseus' men into pigs, then told him to go to the underworld and find a prophet. In the underworld, Odysseus talked to Tiresias, the prophet, who tells him the path to Ithaca. Then they passed the Sirens, who lure sailors to crash on their rocks, but Odysseus' men tied him to the mast of the ship. Once they passed the Sirens, they came upon the whirlpool Charybdis. To avoid it, they passed Scylla, a six-headed monster who ate 6 of Odysseus' men. Next, they came to the island of the sun, where Odysseus' men sacrificed the sun's sacred cattle, and the ship was destroyed, leaving Odysseus as the sole survivor to wash up on Calypso's island.
And that is where we're gonna stop, because then it kind of tells a bunch of stuff. So, yeah. And is that the end once he got back home? No. There was still a bunch more, and then he had to kill the suitors, and
he used arrows to kill the suitors, and then everybody, so like he got his wife back, and the suitors were all dead.
Yes.
They almost started a war. And
Who were suitors?
让我们继续先讲下去，过一会儿我们有一点点时间可以再来讨论，好不好？
By the way, if you guys didn't know what suitors are people that are looking for that want to marry somebody. And suitors and so they thought that Odysseus had died, so that Penelope was single again, so they wanted to marry Penelope because Penelope was very wise, just like Odysseus. You know, a match made in heaven. And of course, we are going to stop now because there's still much to be told next time.
好的，我们今天就暂时到这里了。如果大家还有更多的问题，我们星期二、星期五都会来跟大家讨论这个，然后放在那个微信群里头，然后我们都会来统一回答大家。
You guys can always ask extra questions in the WeChat group by voice, and then I will try my best to answer every one of them if I can. Although if you guys actually bombard me like using nukes, I will surrender.
好的，那谢谢大家这么热情，然后学会了这么多的东西，我们非常高兴大家记住了我们以前讲过的东西，也在这一堂课里头学到了这么多东西，非常开心。我们下一次再见，再见，
拜拜，
Bye.
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 Thank
you.